Hi everybody, and thank you for joining us. My name is Sarah Crome from New Zealand Shores, and I'm here today with my colleague Mariet from New Zealand Shores as well. And we thought it would be a good opportunity to perhaps get Mariet's perspective as migrating from South Africa to New Zealand, and how the process went and the adjustment and things to look out for. So Mariet, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and
Yes.
what part of South Africa you were from, so
of course.
our audience can identify?
Well, thank you, Sarah, for giving me the opportunity. I'm from Joburg in South Africa. I'm married with two girls, aged 14 and 12. I've been working with New Zealand Shores along with Sarah within the last 2 years. I have previous work experience as a senior conveyancer secretary, assisting with all the legal aspects. And the big question is why we done the big move to New Zealand. Well, firstly, it was because obviously for our children, for a better education, a better life for them.
So that's a good, that was the main driver to move.
Yes, that was definitely a big reason.
And what do you, well, if you can recall back that far, what were your first impressions of New Zealand when you first got here?
Well, it was a contrast between excitement, because really excitement to be in New Zealand.
And what did we do?
And obviously what uncertainty, because we wasn't sure what New Zealand is going to deliver and give us. But my first impression in the first few weeks that I arrived in New Zealand was the fact that the country is very clean. The small kids, they can actually go to school by themselves, either walking or on bicycles.
And Mariet, how have you found the local South African community here? Have they been really welcoming? Is it easy to access groups and
well, surprisingly, there's a lot of South Africans in New Zealand, and we made a lot of good friends. In fact, some of them we even become more like family than friends. And you will find there's a lot of South African community groups, which is also very helpful and supportive. So you do have someone that can be, supporting you and got you.
Do you find them on Facebook or local? Like, if you just link in with one South African family, you'll then...
mostly people do send posts on Facebook, on these Facebook groups. Often if there is, all over in New Zealand, all areas, there is like a local community groups that you can get into. You just actually need to reach out to them.
And they're welcoming. Awesome. Okay, so next question, just about, I guess, cost of living in New Zealand and what that gets you, and just comparing that to the quality of life and living you had back in South Africa. Do you think it's comparable, or?
Well, cost of living in New Zealand, I'll say, is in some parts or some instance there is more expensive than back in South Africa. For example, if you look at property housing, if you want to buy a property, or even with your rent, your monthly rent can be a bit expensive compared to South Africa. And also with your monthly, your day-to-day or monthly groceries, that also is a big difference. Big cost. But if you compare it again, it actually balances it out, because back in South Africa you've got like security that you need to pay for and medical aid that you need to pay, school fees that you pay, whereas in New Zealand you don't have that.
Because we've got free education, we don't have all the security costs, do we? And what's the other? Medical insurance, we've got a good healthcare system. And I think tax-wise as well, I think the tax rates are lower here.
Much lower here than what you back in South Africa.
And when you have a house, I think rates as well, our annual rates are almost the same as your monthly rates for owning a house, I think, when it comes to paying for those services like water and rubbish collection and things like that. So you feel it's comparable.
It's comparable if you balance it out with all the things that you pay in South Africa compared to what the things you actually pay in New Zealand. So the things are more expensive, but some things it's you don't even have to pay for.
Okay. Awesome.
And also just to say as well, it doesn't matter how expensive it's still it's with a better life as well.
It's worth it. So lifestyle tax.
Lifestyle,
Okay, so with your children, Mariet, you've got 2 daughters. How have they adjusted to school, and were they at an Afrikaans or English-speaking school before you came to New Zealand?
So yeah, overall they actually adjust quite well. I must say the teachers was really quite helpful, and also the fact that they had fellow South African friends in the same classes they did. So the idea of having someone else experiencing is in the same situation as them, it made it a bit easier for them.
So they don't feel isolated. There's actually lots of children at school that are going through the same.
They're going through the same phase that they are.
Oh, awesome.
Yes. Well, they used to be in an Afrikaans school back in South Africa, where Afrikaans was their first language and English their second language. And surprisingly, they did adapt quickly on a language. Once again, the teachers do assist with them and give them some extra tutoring on that, or extra education on that.
So the teachers do allocate time to give more English tuition at school, and that's all part of the school. So your children go to a state school in New Zealand, don't they? So it's free public education. And what you know now, and you compare that back to the education in South Africa, or is it comparable?
Well, the schools in New Zealand is quite different compared to what I'm used to back in South Africa.
In a good way or bad way?
I'll say there is a good way and a bad way. Well, the kids finds it obviously more better for them, the fact that they don't have to write exams, or they just based on getting points based on the work that I submitted. So
it's progressive throughout the year rather than just a big exam at the end of the year.
That's right. So they do love it, and they say it's better. But for me as a mom, I'm still learning. It's a new learning curve for me. And obviously I learn as they go to the next year. So
so completely different style of learning. But you think educational outcomes will still be similar? You don't feel that?
No, in fact what I can say is what I do love about the school my eldest daughter is in, they actually prepare her now for the pathway when she want to for the career pathway that she want to go and study after school.
How old is she?
She is now 14.
Oh, that's awesome.
So with the next 2 years is the interface with her to see where is the strong points, in order for her to decide on where is the best step forward.
Okay, what about the work environment in New Zealand compared to South Africa? What's the differences?
Well, looking back, I'm used to working in a big corporate environment, which is all with formalities and with regulations. So it was very strict on. Whereas now I'm more in a relaxed environment. Also with a little bit work hours that suits me, that is fitting into my lifestyle. And also there's a lot of different cultural that you deal with as well, than which I'm not familiar back in South Africa.
So it's more diverse. You feel that the New Zealand workplace is more diverse?
Yes, definitely.
And then living in Joburg, were you travelling a lot to work?
Oh yeah, so I used to take about an hour and a half just to get to work in the morning and afternoon, which actually takes half of your, like 3 hours of your day. Whereas now I'm like 5 minutes away from work. And so it's quite close, and it's
And a lot of Kiwis would only really be, well, if you lived in Auckland, I guess you've still got that big commute, but I think if you live outside of Auckland, you don't ever live far away from where you work, do you? So we don't have those big traffic.
And I must say the public transport here is amazing.
Oh, that's good.
And it's safe, you can actually use
it. That's good. And so the kids, you'd be happy for the children to go on the public transport as well to town?
Yes, of course. We have done that as well. We actually had a cousin from Auckland, where the 2 girls just got on the bus and to come to visit us during the school holidays.
Awesome.
So and that was all by themselves.
And that would never happen in Joburg?
No, never. You can't do that at all. So also looking at my husband's work environment, I must say that the employees and everyone there is also very supportive. It's everyone is seen as at the same level as well, and they do also understand that it's you don't have the support that you used to have back in South Africa.
Oh, that's good.
So which it makes it a little bit easier for you.
So they do have some wraparound sort of support.
Yes, and I must say they are most of the employees in New Zealand are very friendly, family orientated.
Yeah, flexible working hours.
Flexible working hours.
From home.
Yeah, if you've got a sick child, they do understand you need to attend and your child comes first.
Yeah.
Whereas that's something I didn't experience. I had a bad experience back in South Africa. It was all about work, and you can't afford taking time off from work in order to look after your family.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I think New Zealand does have more of an emphasis on having a better work-life balance. Do you think?
Yes, definitely.
With our ability to just leave work and pick up the kids, go to the park, and it's still daylight. And
and also with both of us in our work environment, it's we're able to work from home.
Yeah.
So if you do have a sick kid or you need to do something, you always have that opportunity to work from home.
Yeah. Or make up the hours later if you need to go.
Yeah.
Appointments or school activities. Okay, so what would you say the best bit about living in New Zealand is?
Well, definitely safety is one big part of it.
Yeah. And
just how the things actually works in New Zealand.
Yeah.
To give you an example is just to renew your car license. I mean, everything was online. It takes you 5 minutes to renew it, and then they post you the license. Yeah. And you actually get your post. Yeah. Your documents in the post.
So just things are a lot easier.
Definitely.
And they work.
And they work. Yes, they do. And also that New Zealand offer a lot of free activities, outdoor activities for the families, which is also quite a big thing. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed in South Africa. You didn't often see a lot of families out and about, whereas in New Zealand, it's just normal, isn't it, to hop on your bikes and bike to the park. Yeah, you can just go around the corner and and you've got a river at the back of your house. You can just go for a nice walk. I'm used to stay in a big city, so if you wanted to go out, you obviously need to travel far to just get out, and also it also costs you always money to
go something. Yeah. In terms of things that you're perhaps still adjusting to, is there anything that's still difficult today that you find it's you're still trying hard to adapt to, or is it?
Well, not really now, but in the beginning, I'm sure everyone will agree with me, is to keep to the speed limit. To drive 40 kilometers per hour was a good big adjustment. Where we used to like 60 to 80, and you don't even keep to the the speed limits. And also the fact that you actually need to put your own petrol in your car. So in South Africa, you always have someone to do that for you.
Attendant comes over.
So here you have to do it yourself. That was also quite a big experience. And and then also the fact that you actually live in a wooden house. Wooden house. To get used to that. That the walls is very thinner than you used to. So that's also had a quite big adjustment.
That's fun, but that's the only things that you can think of.
And then also the weather. In the beginning, it was quite difficult to adapt with all the rain that you get. But over the last 2 years, you just adapted.
You just become normal.
Become normal. Yeah.
I suppose in South Africa, you don't have the vast contrasts in seasons, do you? It's relatively warm.
Well, you do have where the difference is in over the winter. You've got your rainy days during the winter. Where in South Africa your rainy days is during the summer. Okay. So and we feel also that your winter is on a rainy day. Your winter is not that cold. So it's warmer while it rains. Whereas it's colder when it doesn't rain. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think I know the answer to this question.
I'm sure you do.
But what do you miss most about?
Well, definitely family and friends. That's definitely one of the biggest things. But luckily, you still have like WhatsApp and video calls. You can still communicate with your family.
Is it the same? It's not the same.
It's not the same because you can't give that little hug, that you want. But at least you can still communicate and you still see your people. You're unfortunately not there when they actually need you. But it's when you rely on other close families to be able to assist. Luckily, we're in a position that we can do that. And also I will definitely see the big bonfire
Yeah.
and the bushfield, because we used to love going out there and camping in the bushfield.
Yeah.
And the most ultimate one is enjoying a sundowner
Yeah.
at Marlof Park, looking over the waterholes,
Yeah.
watching the animals come to drink water. That was always a nice thing.
Beautiful memory.
Beautiful memory, yeah. In fact, we do have a beautiful country in South Africa. It's just doesn't being looked after.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you've done a few little camping trips in New Zealand.
Yes,
how would you describe that? Just so, I don't know, what's different? I mean, I guess it's very different.
It is.
But like in New Zealand, us Kiwis often go camping at the beach, or they have like the dock campgrounds.
Yes, we did. The first year we came here in April, over Easter, we actually done a nice camping trip, whereas we tried to at least one night stay in a park, holiday park, and then the next day maybe stay in normal freedom camping sites.
Yeah.
And it
was easy.
It was easy. Yeah. Well, luckily we've got all the equipment to do that, but it was actually it was actually easy and nice.
Yeah.
It is a bit different compared to what we used to back in South Africa. It's a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
You don't have this big camping grounds with all the swimming pools and warm baths, and, so it's a bit more smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah.
And just thinking back, when you talked about leaving South Africa, there may be some people still having to think about what they're going to do and how they might break that news to family and friends. Do you remember how you did that?
Oh,
and was it a tactical?
I think it was one of the hardest things that we've done.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was lots of tears rolling, but I think looking back at the fact, I think all of them will agree now that is the best thing that we've done.
Yeah.
At that point, it wasn't maybe.
So everyone has been happy for you, despite the disappointment that the family's not.
Yeah, they knew that we've done it for the best for our kids as well. So
So any tips on how to drop that bombshell?
I don't think there's a tip. You just need to go out and just say it. Yeah. And the sooner the better as well, because it gives you at least some time to adapt and get used to the idea.
Before you then move.
Yes.
Rather than saying, we're going next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can get used to the idea.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mariet. I hope that wasn't as bad as what you were thinking.
No, it wasn't at all. Thank you for having me.
No, that's been insightful, and hopefully some of you have found that helpful, depending on where you are in the process. So thank you very much for listening. As you'll know, the borders are currently closed to New Zealand, although each day we're getting updates with policy, and they're starting to open up capacity in quarantine, and therefore start opening up different visa applications for processing and border exemptions, so that's really good. Any wise words we can leave our viewers with, Mariet? You're here, you're a living example that it does happen.
What I can say is that you need to make sure your mindset is you've got a good mindset, and you just need to hang in there. The first few months or first year or so, it will be difficult, but in time it actually gets easier, and you don't look back.
Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Yeah, I guess that's important. They do talk about a 2-year emotional sort of cycle that you go through. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And I remember you the other day talking about the fact that you sort of need to prop each other up. Like if you're a little bit down, then you
must always make sure that when one is down, the other one is there to lift you up, vice versa. That actually helps a lot.
Yeah. So you're coming up to the 2-year mark now, aren't you?
We are almost over the 2-year mark.
How are you feeling? Do you feel like you're out of that?
I think we're definitely out of it. It was a roller coaster for us. Like I said, it was ups and downs. And
you didn't even look like you were.
I kept it all for myself. But definitely we up until today decided it was the best options that we've done.
And I guess looking at your children and them being happy at school and all their friends sort of cements the fact that it was a good decision.
It was definitely a good decision. Yeah.
Awesome. So even though we do have the dreaded COVID borders closed at the moment, we are finding that many people are still wanting to get the process started so that they can get all their documents together and ready, and sort of be first in line, I guess, when the border does open, and then make a trip out to New Zealand. Depending on where you are in the process, you might be ready to land that job and apply for your visas, or you may have to come out to New Zealand for a job search trip. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. If anyone's got special questions for Mariet, we could maybe do a part 2.
Yeah,
would that be okay?
That will be okay.
Cool. So if you'd like to message us with your questions, then it'll be great if we did a part 2. So we'll keep in touch with that. But yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.